Arjuna begins the 8th chapter by asking Krishna 8 questions. He says, Kim tad brahma kim adhyatmam, kim karma purushottamam, adibhutam cha kim proktam, adidevam kim uchyate. Arjuna begins by asking a variety of things. Krishna answers 7 of his 8 questions immediately. But the last question which Arjuna asks is a very important question. And therefore Krishna spends the whole of the 8th chapter answering that very question. Arjuna asks Krishna, how can I attain a spiritual destination at the time of death? Generally, people in the world don't like to talk about death. It's not a very inspiring reflection for many people. Imagine you are going to the cinema and you are going to watch a movie. And on your way to the cinema, you met one of your friends. And you told them, I'm going to the cinema, I'm going to watch this movie. And then they told you, oh, that movie, amazing. You'll never guess what happens at the end. You'll say, hey, come on, don't tell me the end. Because if you tell me the end, how can I enjoy the show? So most people, they don't like to think about the end. They don't like to think about death. Because for them, this is the only life and we have to try and enjoy. But if we start thinking about death, we can't really enjoy very much. Arjuna was more broad-minded. He understood there's more than just this life. And therefore he said to Krishna, how can I go back to the spiritual world? This is the goal of a devotee, to go back to the spiritual world. This world that we're living in now, no matter what arrangements you make, no matter how much money you set aside in the bank account to create some security, no matter what things you put in place to become happy, is doomed for failure. Because Krishna says, this world is rubber stamped. Dukhalayam ashashvatam. This material world is a place which is temporary and is full of distress. Therefore Arjuna says, I want to go to the spiritual world. The spiritual world is called Vaikuntha. That place where there is no anxiety. And that place where one can be fully happy. One time Prabhupada in New York, he was lecturing to a room full of hippies. And one hippie, he stood up and he said, Swami, what is the spiritual world like? So Prabhupada looked at the whole crowd and he thought, my God, how to explain to all these people? And then Prabhupada looked at all of them and said, the spiritual world is like an ocean of LSD. That really inspired them. In other words, think of the most happiest moment in your life in this world. And now think about living that moment again and again and again, and increasing that happiness again and again and again. Then you may get some glimpse of what the spiritual world is like. So Arjuna says, how do I get to that spiritual world? And Krishna says, it's very simple. Anta kale chamameva. At the end of life, you simply have to remember me. You simply have to fix your mind on me, and whatever you think of, that you will attain. But Krishna goes on to explain that it's very difficult to think of him at death if we don't think of him throughout life. So therefore, in the 8th chapter, Krishna is explaining that we should all meditate, that one day we will have to leave this world. And we should all meditate, how can I make sure that my next destination won't be this material world, but will be the spiritual world? And Krishna explains that the way we can make sure it is the spiritual world is by engaging in Krishna conscious activities in the here and now. And therefore, when it comes to the hour of death, our mind will automatically go to Krishna, and then we will attain the supreme abode.